Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to try to get my deep you know what? I'm not even going to try to do that. Because we have a trained professional that's going to set up this debate way better than I can. Now, I'm a kid that sort of grew up in the 90s, and there was one voice that cut through the wilderness whenever there was a big sporting match or a boxing match or anything where there was a big competition, and his name was Michael Buffer. And we actually got Michael Buffer to set up our great debate. So we're going to crank this up so you can hear how a trained professional will properly set up a debate. Are we ready? Let's cue the full screen. Let's check out Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event. In the blue corner, the undisputed heavyweight champion, repping Salesforce, the CEO of Sonar, Brad Smith. And in the orange corner, the challenger on the rise, repping HubSpot, founder of Supered, Matt Bolian. Let's get ready to rumble!
That's right, we are getting ready to rumble. It is time for the great debate. Now, this is a 2v1 debate. We actually have Brad and Matt versus Matt, so it's double Matt, so I don't want to get it confusing. So I'm going to call HubSpot Matt and Salesforce Matt, and then we got Brad. We're excited to have our folks that are in the building right now. Let's flex some muscles, fellas. Show us the best biceps you have on the screen. I'm looking for them. Best biceps. There it is, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, these three guys are tremendous. We're excited to have a jovial debate center stage. Again, if you want to invite folks to join us, we'd love for you to let folks know you're live at the great debate. Now, we want to give our debaters a chance to say hello, for you to meet them. So let's start with Salesforce. Let's go with Brad and Matt. We're going to meet our debaters. So why don't you take just a few seconds to introduce yourself, tell us who you're representing, and just say hello. So Brad, why don't you go first?
Oh, man, this is the fight I've been waiting on for a long, long time. Thank you again for having us. I am so pumped to have this conversation. My name is Brad Smith, co-founder and CEO of Sonar, as well as our community, Wizards of Ops. My background, decade plus in this lovely blue cloud ecosystem, very similar to my good friend Matt, and I'll let him introduce himself as well.
Awesome. My name is Matt Rodriguez with a company called Admin Within. We're a RevOps consultancy, and I'm a senior RevOps architect there. So actually started off as a sales rep in maybe like 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, and then found myself in ops. So I love the systems aspect of things and being an end user. So happy to have this debate. Can't wait to see what the counterpoints are.
I like it. All right. HubSpot, Matt, take it away, my friend.
What up? No pressure. This is going to be great. I am Matt Bolian. A bit untraditional path to adminhood. I was in the military as a military intelligence officer about 6.5 years, then went in and became a Salesforce admin where I did some acquisitions and put stuff together, then became a Dynamics admin. I happened upon a thing I didn't believe in, HubSpot, saw it, became a believer, started a solutions company called RevPartners. And now I founded Supered, where I am helping making HubSpot even easier to use, which is almost impossible, but we're trying.
I like it. I like it. Okay, now you've met our three debaters. Now in the chat, I want to find out. So I'm going to jump over here to this other camera. I'm looking over in the chat right here so you can see that. Look how amazing you guys look on the screen right now. Looking good. In the chat, who do you think is best dressed for our debate right now? I want to find out who you think is the best dressed. Who showed up and brought it today? Okay, we got some votes for Brad.
It's going to be Brad.
Oh, look, Brad is taking over right now. Now, let me ask a question before we start this debate. This is for you in the chat watching. Should we have a dance-off between our debaters before we get started? Should we have a dance-off?
If you ask me to do any dancing at all, I hope we're recording just because it's going to be awful.
Yeah,
we're not going to do any dancing. Don't worry. No dance moves. Just have a little fun with our debaters. But super excited. I just want you guys to know in the chat, we're going to keep it clean, have some fun, and engage and have a good time. So I want to right now give a chance for a little bit of an opening statement. So I want to jump right here to say, let's go with, I'm going to start with HubSpot, Matt. Give me an opening statement. This means a 30 to 45 second why HubSpot dominates and you're going to win this debate.
why HubSpot dominates. Let me just say, look, I know this is crazy. I'm not here to say if HubSpot or Salesforce is better, because I don't think that's the problem. That's not the problem. The problem is Salesforce people and Salesforce itself thinks it's superior. There is perpetuates alive. You have PE, VC firms and Salesforce users that if you haven't been in HubSpot in the last 2 months, then you don't even know how HubSpot works. They don't think HubSpot's a real option. They don't think you can dedicate your entire career to knowing HubSpot and be able to make money and a living. Like they think it's a bad career decision. I think they may even say it's career suicide. And I'm here to argue that's not true. I'm not necessarily here to argue. I'm here to liberate people from a tyrannical way of thinking that you do not have to pay the Salesforce tax, that to become the admin within, you don't have to get good at Salesforce. You can dedicate your life to HubSpot, and it's never a better time to get on the HubSpot wave.
Oh, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. That was like an Eminem at the end of 8 Mile kind of announcement, just reframing the conversation. I'm just going to reframe this entire thing, Matt. You just brought it, and that's the energy that I'm looking for right there. So I'm going to toss this to Salesforce, Matt, and then we're going to go to Brad second. So give us a little opening statement of why Salesforce is superior and why you're going to dominate this debate.
Awesome. So I think Salesforce is superior at pretty much every business size and every business segment. So specifically with Salesforce at the enterprise level, when you have 500, 1,000 employees, multiple departments, it really has that customizability, and it's a platform essentially where you can build a lot of the things that you need to support. And we're a RevOps consultancy, and I work with HubSpot, so I actually have been in HubSpot, and actually yesterday. So I'm very familiar with both systems, and I think that there's a place for both of them, but for most cases, Salesforce is going to really nail it in areas where HubSpot doesn't. So in specificity with how large the business is, I think the larger the business gets, the better Salesforce is. And you can do cool stuff like play Minecraft and role-playing games inside of Salesforce too, which are things that aren't business related, but kind of fun because it is a platform that you can do a lot of stuff with. So
I like it. And we already have we have HubSpot, Matt, already talking trash on a non-verbal format, which I like that. All right, so Brad, we're going to send it over to you. Give me your opening statement. Again, we got questions to get to. This is just the opening statement of why Salesforce dominate and why you're going to win this debate.
Ooh, well, where do I start? And we'll talk a lot about scalability. We're going to talk a lot about flexibility of UI and how we really get this journey going. But I'd also just be remiss. I love Salesforce. Salesforce is one of my investors. Why wouldn't I love Salesforce? So, but to Matt's point, I've got both Matt's points, actually. I'm going to be very real here. I'm actually a HubSpot fan. We use HubSpot internally for our marketing automation platform. We help our customers understand how HubSpot can work so much better with your other go-to-market technologies you're already leveraging. So just to be very clear, while I have a preference and while I have my side clearly chosen, we're going to win this debate, no doubt. This is going to feel like LeBron James dunking on like a third grader.
I love the analogy at the end. I love it. Okay, so we've got our debaters. We've heard a little bit from them. Now it's time for a little coin toss. So I'm going to send this to Brad. You're going to give me heads or tails on our official coin that we're going to flip right here. What do you think, heads or tails?
Oh, too easy. Tails never fails.
What?
All right, tails. Let's see if I can flip this and actually catch it on camera. Boom. Tails it is, my friend. Tails it is. So just like any great rap battle, you get to choose where you go. You want to go first or second?
Oh, I'll defer to the second half, always.
Okay. So for our first question, HubSpot, Matt, you're going to go first, and then we're going to toss it to you gentlemen for the second part of this question. And we've got some different categories during this great debate. The first one is use cases. Okay, so I'm asking you a question. I'm okay with some partial interruption just to lay some ground rules. Each of you are going to have about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes to answer the question. If you want to interrupt each other, just do it in a format that makes sense for our audience, right? So I'm going to give you a chance to answer the question, and then I'm going to go to the second person to answer their question as well. So our very first category is use cases. Here we go to Matt. Although HubSpot's popularity as a CRM has grown over the past years, its market share currently still sits firmly in the marketing automation market. Can you explain its key CRM features that cater to a specific audience, specific target audience in industries where it outperforms Salesforce? Your time has started.
I'm going to continue to say this, and I'm going to sit on this. You even hear these introductions. Is there like you're going to hear this no matter what, and you'll hear the same thing over and over from Salesforce people. It's going to say, child, be quiet, children. You need to have your process. If you have your process and you write your requirements down, then you pick a tool, it will always, and they'll tell you they're not biased, or sometimes they will. They're all going to say, if you pick the tool, it only one leads to one path. It's called Salesforce. And when we talk about, this is a great one with use cases. You can go to the HubSpot website right now and you look up thousands of use cases with different markets right now if you want to go look at them. Like, it's not useful for me to talk about them because you have Google, so do I. Let's just not talk about that. What we have is an education issue. Is what you're going to say is if I go to, and you even started to hear it, is HubSpot now takes a person dedicated 100% of their time to fully understand its capabilities. And if you don't do that and you just use it as a marketing automation platform, there's no way you'll ever actually understand any use case, and you can't apply it to an industry. So I would, my request as y'all go is, after the homework for my, so we can liberate some of my Salesforce friends, is go read the use cases, and anything you're about to bring about, there's probably a use case that's starting to differentiate. I actually have a question. It is, what is the, and you feel free to, anybody can answer, and I only ask questions I know the answer to, so feel free to go. What is the fastest growing CRM in the world by market share?
Are you asking the chat?
I'm asking anybody, but the chat's answering already. The answer's HubSpot. We're about to experience, for the next decade to 20 years, just like Salesforce took down SAP. It's already occurring, and you're about to experience the great wave, and HubSpot's coming to a shore near you. And you can pretend, you can talk about whatever you want to talk about right now, but you will be wearing orange soon. Your socks are going to turn orange, your shirt's going to turn orange, and your hat's going to turn pink because you're going to be using Super, and you're going to love it. So I'm excited to have y'all become HubSpot fans.
Oh, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. It is getting heated, and the chat is blowing up right now. This is getting good. If you don't have popcorn, now is the time to pop some, because we're going to go to use cases over to Brad or Matt, and either one of you can take this question. Here's my question to you on use cases. Salesforce has historically been a platform of choice for many industries and retains the market share currently. Can you highlight some specific use cases or industries where Salesforce excels and why it might be a better fit compared to HubSpot? Either of you gentlemen can take it away.
I'll kick this off, and I'm going to be passing it right over to Salesforce Matt. But just as a little bit of the opening dialogue here, I started to Google this, and it ended up being pre-populated for me. The age-old saying, if it's not in Salesforce, it doesn't exist. Haven't really heard it yet to say if it's not in Zoho or HubSpot or Sugar, or I've never heard that analogy before. I've heard many a folk say, if it's not
look. You could put when I buy Band-Aids, I don't buy Band-Aids, just as a point. So just because you own the word doesn't mean you have the monopoly or it's not growing. Just
yeah, touche. I don't disagree with you there, but there's a reason household names exist. However, I will say, on a enterprise-wide, and just going to the question, we think about why has it been at the center of so many people's tech stacks? Because it's been around for many years longer. It has been the source of truth. And I think anytime we start to think source of truth, we do like to think Salesforce. That is why we have that saying, if it's not in Salesforce, it doesn't exist. However, I agree with the Band-Aid, the Tylenol, Pepsi versus Coke. We're actually going to talk about that here in a second as a use case as well. But overall, why it's become an industry standard is because the Fortune 500, 100, Fortune, pick your number, it is the dominant source for that. Stability, making sure that it does have a flexible UI. We're going to talk about that in a second. Matt, pick me up here.
Yeah.
Salesforce,
So
Matt.
when it comes to like use cases in industries, if your client has Coke, Pepsi, large, celebrities, whatever the case is that are your clients, they're typically looking for protection around PII, which I know HubSpot can do, but they're looking for like security. They're looking for the safety there. And it's not necessarily that HubSpot can't do this. It's just that Salesforce has a platform built around it that can do it significantly better. And it's in situations like that, like where when I think about HubSpot,
why did HubSpot change from Salesforce to HubSpot?
So when I think about HubSpot specifically and its use case there, it's like you're running into a little bit of issues with the PII and some of the features that Salesforce can offer for protection of client information, field encryption, the whole deal. And HubSpot's getting much better at this. But if I even think back to a time in like 2016, 2015, when I was being sold HubSpot by people at HubSpot, it was mostly a marketing automation tool. And then all of a sudden it came in as a CRM, which like I'm sure at some point it will be a very good CRM. However, Salesforce has years ahead of HubSpot in this case. So, I mean, do I go with Fisher Price CRM and drive my car that's like made mostly out of plastic, or do I buy a BMW? I mean, that's kind of like the case there of like what you.
Really that's called not being educated, and it's called you haven't.
But I am educated because I work in health systems.
Yeah, no, so, I mean, you can't say like this is. I've literally heard this, and so this is infuriating. So just so you hear it, it's when people say I can drive a Lexus or I can drive a Hyundai. You know what I got in my car back there? I got a freaking Hyundai Sonata, and I pimp the poo-poo out of that. I don't ever need to scale up. It's gonna ride me. It's gonna take me for 20 years. Doesn't matter if I got $1 million or not, because it gets me where I need to go, when I need to get there, at the time I need to get there, at the place.
But do you want AC in your
car? I don't have to pay the tax.
All right, easy. I got to bring this back in. This is getting heated. It's like warm in here. It is warm, and I like it. Okay, so that is just one question out of 5. So, audience, if you're loving this, shoot a 1 in the chat if you're loving this. Like, if you're enjoying this debate so far, give me a 1, because I don't know if I'm supposed to butt in or stop it or just let it keep going. So I'm going to give you guys a chance to take a deep breath, and we're going to jump right to our next question, which is about integrations. And HubSpot, Matt, you're going to get a chance to go first. Here's the question for you. Ready? Integration with existing tools and seamless data management are crucial aspects for any business. How does each platform handle integrations with other software, and where does your platform outperform the other with integrations? HubSpot, Matt?
I can go first again because HubSpot is first. I agree with this. So one of the things, let's talk about integrations. First off, we've done this 5,000 integrations. HubSpot's putting a lot into this. They even just did Data Hub, essentially bought PySync, brought it in. Integrations, opening APIs, putting a lot of stuff in. Here's just like, I want to sit on this for a second. Is Salesforce, and if you hear it, they're going to all Salesforce consult. I used to do this. So like I used to love and breathe Salesforce, right? And they're all going to say, before I had my Paul to Saul to Paul conversion and all the like, they'll say hub and spoke. Hey, I want my hub, which is my single source of truth. And they coined this, and it was a brilliant thing at a point, and it worked for a time. Hub and spoke. I'm going to have Salesforce and then build around that. I'm going to pick point solutions that are really good. I'm going to pick Salesforce. And if I need a SEP, I'm going to pick SalesLoft. And after I have SalesLoft, I need an attribution system, and I need a marketing system. I'm going to pick HubSpot because it's the best marketing automation platform. And then I'm going to have a WordPress as my CMS. And then I'm going to have, and then I'm going to have, and then I'm going to have, and then I'm going to have. And afterwards, you end up with 10 people. You need a team. You need a full RevOps department of all managing all these systems, and you're paying $500 to $600 per employee every time you add somebody. When you talk about integrations, you can't just, yeah, it sounds awful. You can't just talk. When you think about integrations, is HubSpot is just, it has it all, right? G2 ranked number one before Salesforce sued them and they became number 2. But HubSpot ranked number 1 CRM and number 1 marketing automation platform, number 1 CMS platform, number 3 service platform, all in one solution bundled together. And you don't have to deal with any of the databases that makes integrations the heartache they are in the first place. You just have it in one place. So when you think about the single source of truth and you think Salesforce, it's because we're educated, the only real source of truth, and the why the switch is happening is because it's so much easier in HubSpot. Now, admin are afraid of this because they won't have jobs, but that is not, but as we as admins and HubSpot becomes more, is we become more strategic. And instead of our pants on fire as firefighters, we can finally enter the room with our CRO and be strategic. That's why HubSpot has it's like built for integrations better.
I like it. All right, Matt from HubSpot, that was your answer. Same question to my gentleman representing Salesforce. Integration with existing tools and seamless data management are crucial aspects for any business. How does each platform handle integrations with other software? And where does your platform outperform the other with integrations?
Yeah, I guess my first and most loud question I can ask, what the hell took so long? Integrations have been around for a while. Salesforce pioneered the App Exchange. Why was it just 18 months ago we're like, hey, you know what? I got a good idea. I'm HubSpot. I should maybe open up some APIs. Maybe think about,
Look,
I don't know, some
when you
other
craft,
systems that
not
can
coddle.
talk to us.
Crafting takes a little bit longer than acquisitions, just saying. So you can coddle stuff, but if you craft it, mastery and expertise.
Touche. Now, here, I will give you credit. I will give all of the HubSpot Nation and the Hubolution a high five. I am very happy and very proud of HubSpot for putting their big person pants on and, you know, opening some APIs up and actually, I don't know, doing some integrations and also opening up an App Exchange. That is fantastic news. I will tell you, as a person who supports many customers, both that have HubSpot and Salesforce, I'm very glad. That's a great ecosystem win for us. However, the maturity of those APIs, and I think Matt would agree here, Salesforce Matt would agree, light years ahead. Matt, take it away.
Yeah. Interesting piece here is I do believe custom objects didn't exist in HubSpot until very recently. And so when you think about integrations and specifically like how, you know, a system could even integrate into another system, you need to have some customizability surrounding object, like the object relationship and the schema there. So you can tell me to just stop all you want, but it's the truth. Like if you don't have custom objects, you don't have things to look
I'll ask
at,
the chat.
then there's no, you're not going to ask the chat anything while I'm talking.
Hold on, Matt, hold on. Let him answer. Let him answer. Pause 1 second. HubSpot Matt, pause. We're going to let Salesforce Matt finish, and then you can do your question.
If you don't have like custom objects, you don't have things to actually be able to customize your actual data, you're not going to be able to integrate a system. And so HubSpot recently did just open up the custom objects, and it does actually a really good job with that. So it's getting close to like the customizability of Salesforce. However, since the dawn of time when HubSpot was created and it was a marketing automation platform, they didn't have custom objects that were needed for really anything that they were doing. And so now they're getting up to speed with some of the stuff that's existing with custom objects and being able to really customize your sales process. And it's taking the HubSpot customers out of the walled garden, but it's still got a little bit of ways to go. And Salesforce actually opened up with custom objects and customizability around data schema and structure off the top. So it's a very interesting piece there. Like I think the integrations will be there with HubSpot soon, and you're seeing like Zoom Info and you're seeing a lot of these other platforms like have direct connectors into HubSpot. However, it's just not quite there yet. And with Salesforce, they've been doing it for a lot longer. The App Exchange was modeled after the Apple App Store. There are some cool stories around like how that App Store was put together in relation with, Apple, it being in mind with like the team there too. So that's kind of a fun little tidbit about the App Exchange and some of the integrations there.
All right, Matt, I'm going to give you 30 seconds. You want to ask the chat something? Go for it.
It's just as simple. I just want to make sure. And this is what I mean. When I said liberating mindsets, I'm here to liberate. I'm not here to I think both are good options. You should dedicate careers in either one of them. You're picking Salesforce, I'm picking HubSpot. But to say that it did not have custom objects until 18 months ago is not true. And the fact you believe that is more representative of the tyrannical Salesforce nature that everybody, especially in the PCVP world, is you have to switch and you might as well start in Salesforce because you're going to end in Salesforce. That's what I'm here to fight. That's why you feel so much passion, because it's literally just not true. And there have been lies. And it's not you. I'm not going to anybody. It's just like we have been given facts that are not the truth. I'm here to liberate, baby. Now you know.
All right, time. I'm going to give a chance for Brad or Matt if you want to rebuttal to that quickly.
I'm just going to lean back on Will Smith, who actually gave me the line of 18 months ago when I had him on our webinar a couple of weeks ago about this debate. So I will take the fact checking offline on that. But Yeah, whether it be between integrations or the App Exchange within HubSpot, relatively speaking, still a new and nascent technology, and that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with new and emerging technologies and taking that route. What is
Okay,
it? What's the
I
old
like it.
saying? Imitation is the best form of flattery. Thanks, HubSpot. Appreciate that.
I like it. Hey, all right, we're going to jump to the next question. This is getting spicy, and I like it a lot. Okay, I did go to HubSpot, Matt, twice first, so I'm going to let you go second twice for these next two questions. And my next category I have here is user interface and ease of use. So this is going to go to the Salesforce, Brad and Matt. This is for you. User experience and ease of use can significantly impact user adoption and productivity. How does each platform approach adoption? And what are the advantages for end users in terms of ease of use and learning curve? Same question for both of you. Salesforce first.
Matt, you want to take it?
Yeah. Admittedly, I will say that this is definitely one of the areas where Salesforce can improve. And you look at some Salesforce instances that are amazing. Like, they don't even look like Salesforce. They have all the buttons and bells and whistles and the cool stuff that you would want within a CRM. It's like actually fun to work for some of those businesses with some of those CRMs and those implementations. It's pretty incredible. But then if you do like a quick stand up on like a professional instance or starter or essentials or whatever, and you don't do a lot of customization, it does look very bad. And it is not something that's super great. So like really the sky's the limit with what Salesforce will offer you. And I know that like off the top, HubSpot just out of the box does look and feel and function very well. But if you're looking to like get past like that walled garden approach, you're looking to actually really open up and offer a lot to your end user and do a lot of cool things, Salesforce is really the best way to go because you can custom code things, use Lightning Web Components, and you can actually do some of those integrations like we were talking about with that last question to really change the functionality so that no two Salesforce instances look the same. They don't have the same colors. They don't have the same buttons. A lot of those functionality pieces within a CRM are just really, really well done, but it's up to the people configuring it. So if you don't have the resources and the time to do that, you got to kind of, pick and choose your battles with what you choose.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Just because a doctor has a good scalpel doesn't mean they're a good doctor. And I think you need to really take a really hard look at your admins in the Salesforce ecosystem. And if the UI and the user experience isn't there, it has less to do with the flexibility of the platform in which they're doing it. It has more to do with the skill and the people at the end of the fingertips that they're using. That said, let's go through the evolution of this. Raise your hand. I know there were some classic people here because I saw the chat earlier. I know some people still like classic. I know a lot of admins still like classic, but let's learn and let's all get better. Salesforce took a lot of feedback and hits on the chin about classic being hideous. They rolled out Lightning. Lightning is a much easier and more succinct way to put really tight guardrails with screen flows and a lot of other ways to validate your data and make that user experience better. To Matt's point, to Salesforce Matt's point, there are times that you can be in Salesforce and you don't even know it. And I think that just goes to show how quick, and not quick, but how easy it can be to get to meet a user where they want to be met. I think Community Cloud does a really good job of that, being able to engage with your customers into a separate platform while still feeding all that data in a dynamic sense back to Salesforce. Now, what is that next evolution? This is the fun conversation I think we should all be having. What does that next evolution look like? There's a reason why Salesforce acquired Slack a couple of years or so ago. And is that a new hint, hint, wink, wink? Does the UI look a little bit even better? I think that's one of those questions that even as HubSpot fanatics will tell you, we all love Slack. There's a great platform there that we all communicate. I can tell you right now, I couldn't do my job without Slack. Shout out to my Slack folks, also an investor. But all that to be said, the evolution of the Salesforce UI, objectively speaking, has very much improved.
All right, I like it. Salesforce, thank you. Heading over to HubSpot. Matt, what are your thoughts on user interface and ease of use?
I have 3 thoughts to keep this. So number one, and I really like that Brad said this because I was going to say, I'll say it a different way, is the best Salesforce, the best Salesforce you can be in is when you don't know you're in Salesforce. I didn't say that. Brad Smith said that. Tag it. The best Salesforce, and you often hear it, is if you can push an app and make it look like HubSpot. So why not just start with HubSpot? Yeah, it's a good idea. Someone make a lot of money if you could just push a button and turn everything into HubSpot. Point number 2 is the way these two things were made. I think it represents, and we talked a bit about crafted, not cobbled. Here's an example of cobble. Salesforce has bought lots of things. One of those including Slack. They've built a lot of things that they've never done anything with as well. So I just want to be, it's not always indicative. They make lots of acquisitions and sometimes they buy them to kill them. And that's why Sprague 2 is not in Slack is a point. Look at CPQ. That's actually something they bought. Look at Pardot, Marketing Cloud. It's not even the same system. It's like difficult sometimes. There's like a lot of things, just good examples. But number 3, I think this is important about philosophy is, you hear this is, HubSpot comes with, it's like the Apple versus Samsung philosophy. It is Apple comes with a opinion about the best way of doing things often, and then lets you configure around it. And so you don't have to think as much. And so it's harder to mess up. Salesforce, if you don't hire an admin, what do you have? I mean, it was, again, said by Salesforce people, if you don't hire an admin or the admin is not good, you get a junior one that just has certifications, it doesn't have any real world experience, you're not paying $120,000 for that perfect person, you get bad CRM. Often that CRM turns into an Excel spreadsheet and you don't even use it. It becomes elephant graveyards. That's what it becomes elephant graveyards. So like you think about philosophy, you had this crafted experience with an Apple, you have opinions, and now that HubSpot has the core and you can see it added, you now start configuring and they're increasing their customization as they go up market to start to showcase more and more enterprise use cases. Every admin gets to start somewhere. It is so much easier if you start with HubSpot, because some things are better just left done already. So you can focus on strategic instead of the tactical, minute details of helping someone put in a field or finding a field because they forgot it after you told them yesterday in Slack 8 times.
Here's
Brad, you had a thought?
Yeah, I guess here's my only challenge. If the hill that you're going to die on, HubSpot, Matt, is that you don't necessarily need an admin or a dedicated owner for the CRM.
That's not what I
said. My only challenge, I guess I am paraphrasing, if you will, because I think the challenge there was, oh my gosh, you have to spend so much money and have dedicated admins. So I was taking the antithesis of that, thinking like, well, I guess we just don't need admins. I don't think that's actually the case. I think anybody will tell you just in a blanket statement, you need to have ownership of your technology, whether that be your ERP, your CRM, your finance platforms, et cetera, right? So to be fair in that regard, I don't think it's actually a one-to-one correlation of you have to go dump a bunch of money into admins in Salesforce to have a well-run machine. I can tell you right now, I can look at my good friend, Matt Rodriguez, Chris Fezel is in the chat. There are a ton of great solutions out here that help you manage that, even if you don't have the internal admin themselves. So,
all right, I like it. Hey, we're gonna call time on that question. I'm gonna let my debaters. Let's give it up for the debaters. Put a heart emoji in the chat, or give me a comment if you're enjoying this. I'm looking over to my right, looking at the chat and seeing folks that are totally enjoying this conversation. So I appreciate it. You gentlemen doing great. I'm gonna give you a chance right now. I'm gonna give you about a 90-second break, 2-minute break to turn your cameras off. We're gonna go full screen right here because we have a couple quick commercials that we're gonna show you, and then we're gonna come back with a couple more questions and then our inbound VIP ticket giveaway. Enjoy this fun commercial break.
I'm in the arms of the admin. They built everything here, from those workflows for the sales team and attribution reports from last year.
Hi, I'm Rob Jones. Please say that you'll be the answer for an innocent admin who's suffering, an innocent admin who needs your help. Please call the number on your screen and join the Hubolution right now. For just $18 a month, you can save this corgi, but he's fine. Or for $0, you can provide an admin with stress relief, continuing support, RevOps best practices, and love Call or join online in the next 30 minutes, and we'll send you a photo of an admin like John who needs help and a beautiful tote bag from Sprocketeer. This is your chance to say, I won't sit by while an admin suffers. Make the call.
Here's the story of the HubSpot platform, who's been helping companies grow their revenue. Excellent for SMB and mid-market. Great for enterprise too. It's the story of a fearless leader. HubSpot CEO, her name is Yamini. Thanks to our mesh, we're solving crises of disconnection, building community. I know one day soon we'll all be back at Inbound, and I know we'll get together for some lunch. Hey friends, I am certain we'll keep solving for the customer. It's just a feeling that I call the HubSpot hunch. The HubSpot hunch. Let's go. The HubSpot hunch. It's a feeling that we call the HubSpot hunch.
Mayor Rob coming in for the win once again. That's amazing. Give it out. I see some love in the chat right there. Incredible. So we've got 2 final questions. Gentlemen, you guys are going after it. I so appreciate the engagement. Our answers are a little bit long than needed right now, so I need you to be a bit more concise in your answers. I got 2 more questions, and we're going to close out our great debate between Salesforce and HubSpot. Thank you so much for joining in. I see some folks that are maybe just joining. If you just joining the Hubolution rally, we're excited about Inbound in Boston coming up 40 days from today. And so it looks like we're going to have Salesforce go first on this question. And this question is in the conversation around customer support and community. Here's a question for Brad and Matt from Salesforce, from the evangelist from Salesforce. Customer support and a thriving community can be essential for users to get the most out of a platform. How does each platform engage with its user base, foster a sense of community, and provide reliable customer support to address concerns and issues? Both of you will have the same question. Salesforce first.
Oh, this is easy and certainly not a hill I'm going to die on. This is probably one of the places that Salesforce can improve the most, is in the support side of things. The one thing I will mention, though, and I think this is important to call out, and I can see the same thing happening in the Hubolution, just to be very fair. There's a big reason why you have big communities out there that focus on this platform and on this persona. And for us, from the WizOps perspective, we focus on the persona. That's why you see a lot of great debates and a lot of banter and some back and forth in WizOps about HubSpot versus Salesforce. But we're also there to support the persona, the admins, the operations, the developers. So, and I don't think you get to an ecosystem as large as this entirety without having cornerstone softwares that lead that charge. Therefore, again, why we have even Salesforce as a sponsor and an investor in our company and our community. It's also why you have folks like Salesforce Ben McCarthy is a great friend of ours. It's why you see great other communities, all of different, like OpStars communities. You have different Salesforce communities. You have great HubSpot communities as well. I think that's a rising tides effort in my most humble opinion. That I think both platforms are actually elevating each other in accordance. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, I might give an answer that's probably a little more leaning toward HubSpot in this case, but I think like you shouldn't, as a system in general, and probably I'm the neutral one here, you shouldn't have to rely on external communities to really like get support for your platform. Salesforce with Trailhead and some of the stuff they put together for that are doing significantly better, and there's a lot of people there who have multiple awards and get MVP for answering questions within Trailhead and stuff like that. And I think that's awesome that exists. But I do know that getting a hold of support and having to purchase additional packages and things like that to get support, it's not the best thing ever. And so Salesforce could do a lot of improvement there, but the fact that there are communities and there's a large ecosystem available to help and support is awesome. And they exist for both platforms, actually. Like there's HubSpot communities that are really awesome, and there are Salesforce communities that are really awesome. So it's just like a RevOps thing in general, but it's kind of where I'm kind of neutral on this one, honestly.
All right, going to HubSpot. HubSpot, Matt, take it away. Your turn.
Go ahead, Matt.
Support HubSpot's way superior in that. We all agree. Communities. Where did I? This is this. You know where I first became like one of the first places I found help and camaraderie was actually in Wizard of Ops community. So I just like to be like, to be clear. And so like there are some communities, and I actually, so I think both. And where did I learn RevOps? I actually learned it via Trailhead. So like there's some realities here. Like there's some crossovers inside the community where like I actually think this is probably like the community. Like we talk about, this is why I'm not here to like really say HubSpot, Salesforce. I'm really here to say, hey, you can focus on either. And there's things that transcend platforms, processes. Like how do I do a stage? How do I do stage conversions? What's the best metrics to judge when I'm doing through my Series A, Series B, Series C? What am I focused on? Who do I hire? How do I, those things transcend and you can learn anywhere. What I'm really here to say though, is like, you can focus on either and it's okay. And you can actually do a large amount of use cases.
Yeah.
And I think we're moving towards that. And I think the whole ecosystem is starting to say there's actually two titans of CRMs here, Salesforce and HubSpot.
I'll tell you this, somebody used an amazing analogy the other day, and it goes so well with HubSpot, Matt, with what you just said. There's really two types of transmissions in cars. There's a stick and an automatic. Probably prudent for you to learn both. And let that sink in for a second. And I say this often to everybody. I want to learn more about the Hubolution and even what HubSpot's doing more of, because that still makes me a better Salesforce admin and a better go-to-market technologist. So yeah, learn to drive both, right?
I'll say one last thing on this too. Like to what Matt said, some of these problems exist regardless of what your CRM is, like stage stamping or trying to understand your pipeline. And so there are solutions and ways to actually solve all these for both systems. And it's not so much about, Salesforce or HubSpot in this case, but it's about just RevOps communities, because maybe what I'm putting together in Salesforce might not totally one-to-one map for HubSpot, but it very well could and very likely does in a lot of cases. So you're able to solve a lot of the same problems.
I love it. I love it, man. I felt the love on that question. Did you feel the love? Let me know in the chat if you felt a virtual hug, just a virtual CRM titans that put down their weapons for a minute and just got the embrace and the hug. The automatic, the stick shift. You're awesome. No, you're awesome. No, you're awesome. That was just awesome. And I actually appreciate the love for each and enjoyed those answers. Last question. Okay, coming to you, HubSpot. Matt, you're going to go first on this one. You got different questions on this conversation of scalability. Bring it. All right, HubSpot, Matt. HubSpot's reputation includes being user-friendly and suitable to small and medium-sized businesses. How does HubSpot handle the growing needs of a business as it scales? HubSpot, Matt?
Yeah, I think in narratives and stories. And so I think if you were to say who has more stories of things, and specifically when you think about investment, because this is what usually drives behavior, who has more stories from going to seed to Series E to IPO? And that's Salesforce. And it's what the majority of admins know. I mean, there's been 2 decades plus of people doing that, experiencing large wealth generating opportunities that then tells them. So when I talk about liberation, there is now another way, and there might be a way that's cheaper or with more value. That's just, there may be a different way. That's what I like to say. I'll tell a story here, and I think this is helpful because like, how is HubSpot doing that? In 2020, HubSpot wasn't really a CRM. They couldn't even market as a CRM. They had a non-compete with Salesforce. They also, and while they did that, they switched their entire team and built a CRM in-house. Once that unleashed and that stopped in 2021, you have seen product updates. And if you're in the HubSpot ecosystem, you see this daily. You can't even keep up. They don't even announce them. They can't keep up with them. They have backlog these announcements, and they are now doing a specific takeover plan. You could say blitzkrieg into the Salesforce world to capture mind share and to capture use cases into different industries and scale. So if someone comes in, so this is more of an education. Hey, if you haven't seen HubSpot last week, you don't know HubSpot today.
All right, going to Salesforce. You got 1 minute for this final question. Here we go. Salesforce is renowned for its customization capabilities, especially important for larger enterprises with complex processes. Can you elaborate on what situations would require Salesforce for customization?
Brad, do you want me to take this
Oh,
one?
is it our turn? Sorry, we were talking about scalability and enterprise stuff. I was on a different screen. I was looking at the ticker symbols today and just kind of noticing about every single ticker and what CRM they use. Let me get back to that on the scalability side. Really good example here, and I know Matt's got a very similar, Salesforce Matt's got a similar example. Way back in my consulting days, I had to work with a massive marketing company, and they supported 2 customers. No other ones, they only had 2. One was Pepsi and one was Coke. And in order for them to scale and feel comfortable with one company representing the 2 biggest competitors in the world, at me with the Nike versus Adidas and all the other competitor stuff, go for it. Pepsi and Coke is probably one of the biggest competitive landscapes you'll ever find. The only way both of those large enterprise companies and both who use Salesforce got comfortable with it was knowing the profiling, the permission sets, the data visibility, because how risky would it be for them to go into a CRM and have one team at that company looking at Pepsi stuff, and then holy cow, still been able to see the Pepsi or Coca-Cola stuff at the same time? Mr. Rodriguez, what do you think?
I think, it's very firmly the winner in enterprise. When you get to a certain size, you start to have multiple departments, you start to have a lot of things that are moving within an organization. You really have to go down certain routes and look at your tech stack and look at what you're using within the business. And in a lot of cases, that does push you down a certain path. It doesn't have to necessarily, and I think it's possible that HubSpot does grow to support larger businesses there. But I used to in the past say like HubSpot really excelled up to about 150 employees. I no longer say that. I actually say HubSpot excels until your business processes get complex enough to where it cannot support what you're trying to do. So you have multiple departments like CS, and then you have sales, and you have post-sales and implementations, and you have this and that and this and that, and everybody needs to see multiple different things. I think that's where HubSpot starts to show its cracks, because the processes among different departments are not repeatable. If you have very repeatable processes within all these, limited departments, and you're, a small scale up or startup, I think HubSpot's extremely good, because then you're running into the situation where you don't have a lot of resources, but you need something of quality. So at the enterprise level, they have resources, they have the time, they have the investment needed, they have the need for the security and a lot of those other use cases. So it's like, we have all the money, we're investing a large portion of our revenue into this. Let's just get the best thing we can possibly get to customize exactly to what we need and to solve all the problems that we need. And so that's like kind of where I think Salesforce lands very firmly. Like in the small to medium, it could be HubSpot, especially with low resources. But in the enterprise, it's almost a no-brainer in that case.
Oh man, I like it. Scalability.
I just want to hear, and I'll just make
All
it
right, 15 seconds. 15 seconds.
Yeah, 15 seconds. The exact logic. It sounds so beautiful. It's enticing. You almost love it. It's like, oh, I have to agree with that. That's what I'm here to liberate against. And it's someone that doesn't know HubSpot well enough. Okay, that's it.
I love it. I love it.
I love it so much. Hey, listen, in the chat, I'm loving all the engagement that I'm seeing there. Gentlemen, you've done a wonderful job. I'm going to give each of you 20 seconds. That's 20 seconds to give me your closing statement from today. And I want to say, as we give these closing statements, all 3 of you have done a fantastic job. Can we do a heart emoji in the chat if you appreciate the engagement and the conversation? I have so enjoyed it. It's been fun to watch the banter, the conversation. Hopefully each of you have gotten better as a leader by watching this. But give your closing statement, and then we're going to close down the great debate. So we're going to begin with Salesforce. Why don't we go with Matt from Salesforce first, and then Brad from Salesforce, and then we'll go HubSpot Matt. So Matt from Salesforce, take it away.
All right, closing statement here. I really do feel like when you're looking at whether it's Salesforce or HubSpot, you need to look at your business and really figure out what's good for you. It's a case to where there's no right or wrong answer here. And I work for a consultancy where I have done HubSpot implementations, gone from Salesforce to HubSpot, HubSpot to Salesforce. So I have a lot of experience with both of these systems, and I think they're both really great. So it's a case to where just if you're going to be intelligent about what you choose, you have to be like cognizant and intentional about the choice as well, because when you make that choice, it's going to be very hard to change it later.
Yeah.
Brad?
As I drop an orange heart into the chat, here are my final thoughts. I don't want to ask right now if everybody's wearing shoes. If we were all in an office together, I'd hope everybody's wearing shoes. But here's a great shoe analogy. No one here is wearing the shoes they bought as a 10-year-old. They are wearing a new pair of shoes. If you want to buy a pair of shoes that are flexible enough for you to wear at 10 years old and well into your, I'll date myself, late 30s or beyond, buy a flexible pair of shoes that you can grow with. No graduation needed.
Boom. I like it. Great closing statement. All right. HubSpot, Matt, what you got?
Do not be deceived by kind words spoken gently about how you should do something. The reason I'm so it always says the same thing. As you get more complex, your business grows. And as your business grows, your needs change. And as those changes you need something that can scale with you. And you've seen hundreds and thousands of businesses do this. It is always Salesforce. And then if you go to the next logical conclusion, it then comes, then why even start with HubSpot? You should go Salesforce. You should look at your processes, find your requirements, define them, and then make a decision. But I don't know if you've done requirement sessions. Most people don't know what they actually need. I want to say there is another CRM. You can make a career only doing HubSpot today. And it is the best time in the history of the world. Join the fastest growing CRM. Join the #1 ranked CRM marketing automation platform, to be #1 service and CMS, and have a great career specializing in RevOps, and you too shall be awesome.
But wait, there's more. Sounds like an infomercial.
And the last is adoption is the most important good. And remember that as you make a decision. If you have a process and it's an ugly piece of software, it's less likely to be adopted. And so just always remember that.
Hey, listen, we had Brad and Matt, Salesforce evangelists, walk into the lion's den, and you guys did a tremendous job. I have to say that I'm super duper impressed. We had Matt, I got in the chat right there, it says MB is a legend. I like it. Hey, we got the mayor popping up on the screen. I'd love to hear a mayor of Inbound. Rob, what are your thoughts on this debate? I got some closing thoughts here, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
You picked the right people. That's my 5-word responses. Matt, other Matt, Salesforce Matt, HubSpot Matt, Brad Smith. It started off a little spicy. Appreciate the love back and forth. My takeaway is that both are tools which will always require operators. So it's more about the enablement and the training of adoption and process than tool. Adoption, process, tool. For the HubSpot argument, obviously, I'm not biased. I'm just wearing orange and a HubSpot shirt. Wouldn't it make sense to start with the tool that's easier to adopt by all of your teams? That's my takeaway. Back to you, Billy.